The text moves from this to the structure of appointed seasons and sacred assembly for the covenant children of Israel, as seen in verse number 4971. A wise heart discerns both time and judgment, according to verse number 23040. Flattery spreads a net for the feet, as verse number 21,300 declares. Flourishing places wither and fail, per verse number 17443. Yet, YHWH remains mindful of his covenant and provides for those who fear him, as verse number 19,875 affirms. Caution is commanded against meddling with the borders and inheritance of kinsmen, because YHWH will not give even a foot of their land, as verse number 6,401 instructs. The light of the covenant faithful rejoices, but the lamp of the covenant wicked is put out, according to verse number 20828. Darkness serves as a covering and pavilion, per verse number 18166. Perception and turning are required for healing, as verse number 26,583 shows. Priestly and inheritance structures stand at the center. There are 48 cities with their suburbs for the Levites within the priestly inheritance, as verse number 7,877 records. The young bull is brought before the priestly tabernacle at the appointed place with hands laid on its head, per verse number 3963. Ordered movement through the north and south gates occurs when the covenant people come to worship, according to verse number 16743. Release of Levite houses comes in the year of Jubilee, as verse number 5064 states. The measured holy priestly offering extends north, west, east, and south, as described in verse number 16743. These portray stability as arising from covenant order, priesthood, and inheritance, not from diplomatic agreements. Interwoven are statements on kings and power. 4 great beasts are 4 kings that arise out of the earth, as verse number 23,559 declares. The sword of the king of Babylon comes upon a people, per verse number 16240. Enemies break into Judah, carry away the substance of the king's house, his sons, and his wives, leaving only the youngest son, according to verse number 25733. YHWH declares, I have spoken it, and I will do it, as verse number 16,388 affirms. Survival and prolongation appear in connection with priestly offering. It pleased YHWH to bruise him and put him to grief. When his life is made a priestly offering for guilt, he will see his seed, he will prolong his days, and the pleasure of YHWH will prosper in his hand, as verse number 13,571 testifies. For the one who stands with YHWH as a terrible mighty one, persecutors stumble and prevail not. They are exceedingly ashamed, and confusion age lasting is not forgotten, per verse number 14464. Those who covenant trust in YHWH are as Mount Zion that cannot be shaken but abides for the ages, according to verse number 20184. Many are the afflictions of the covenant faithful, but YHWH delivers him out of them all, as verse number 18,461 assures. Later verses reinforce timing and judgment. For messengers are loosed for the hour, day, month, and year to slay the third of men, as verse number 33,917 records. There is need to watch because neither the day nor the hour is known, per verse number 27050. The fig tree is dried up from the roots, according to verse number 27703. Glory radiates in certain encounters, as verse number 28,024 describes. Yet the draw consistently returns to the contrast between what endures under covenant and what withers or is extinguished outside it. 24 verses carry direct textual hits on the pre-registered criteria concerning YHWH, appointed peace, war, power, kings, and survival. These anchor the draw in appointed seasons and place from verse number 4971, time and judgment from verse number 23,040, Prolonged days and seed through priestly offering from verse number 13571. Unshaken, abiding from verse number 20,184. Kings arising from verse number 23559. Sword coming from verse number 16240. YHWH, speaking and doing from verse number 16388. Mighty presence amid confusion from verse number 14464. And radiant glory from verse number 28024. Narrative echoes appear across the sequence. The opening unto the end from verse number 19448 resonates with the four structured agents loosed at the appointed hour, day, month, and year from verse number 33917, and the command to watch for the unknown day and hour from verse number 27050. The withering of flourishing for verse number 17443, and the dried fig tree for verse number 27703, echo the lamp put out from verse number 20828, and the plundered king's house from verse number 25733. The four kings or beasts are rising from the earth from verse number 23559, parallel the four messengers for verse number 33917, showing structured divine orchestration over earthly dominions. The priestly offering that leads to prolonged days and seed from verse number 13571 connects to the ordered Levitical inheritances and gates from verses number 7877 and number 16743. This illustrates that true endurance flows through consecrated covenant structures rather than political survival strategies. The surface text, read sequentially from the lead lament of hiddenness unto the end in verse number 19448, through the establishment of appointed seasons and sacred assembly in verse number 4971, the requirement to discern time and judgment in verse number 23040, the contrast of light rejoicing versus lamp extinguished in verse number 20828, the withering of flourishing and the coming of the sword in verses number 17443 and number 16240, the plundering of kings' houses in verse number 25733, and the unshaken abiding reserve for those who covenant trust in YHWH in verse number 20184, declares that a ceasefire peace deal will not keep the leaders in Iran, Persia, or Elam in power. The mathematical layer confirms this reading with extreme rigor. The workstation returns a deterministic verdict of lean no, probably negative, with the probability of yes at 0.8%, the probability of no at 99.0%, and the probability of unresolved at 0.2%. This is a strong anomaly with all gates passing. The DT3 measure reaches 5.85 sigma, with 902.8% net relative increase above the genre-adjusted baseline for writings. The guided draw index shows extreme anomaly with a Fisher chi-squared of 80.07 on 24 degrees of freedom, for a p-value of 5.92 times 10 to the negative eighth. The polarity bias index leans no at negative 1.841. The channel convergence index crosses threshold at 88% with all 6 channels active. 3 of 12 markers survive the false discovery rate at alpha 0.05. This strong anomaly with discovery level convergence on identity, inheritance, and priesthood grounds the answer in both text and number. Therefore, the new ceasefire peace deal will not keep the leaders in Iran, Persia, or Elam in power. The verses drawn in this Shield 17.9 session were number 19448, Psalms 89 verse 46, number 4971, Leviticus 23 verse 2, number 21300, Proverbs 29 verse 5, number 23040, Ecclesiastes 8 verse 5, number 17443, Nahum 1 verse 4. Number 19875, Psalms 111 verse 5. This concludes today's interpretation under the Shield Protocol.